Live from the Hospital Hill studios in Mbabane, it has just gone 10 o'clock Central Africa time. Good evening and welcome to the news brought to you by Swarton TV. I'm with Stella Gunene. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us and making us your news channel of choice. We begin here first, your headlines tonight. The Prime Minister says government embraces the declaration of 2025 as a year of transformation by His Majesty King Mswati III. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Thobisile Dladla, has handed over 2 houses to destitute families in the Shiselweni region. And the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority has announced an increase of over 14% electricity tariff for the next 2 years. Good evening. The news in detail will begin here. Our first story. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Miso Dlamini, says government embraces the declaration of 2025 as a year of transformation. This follows His Majesty King Mswati III's delivery of the speech from the throne during the opening of the second session of the 12th Parliament. The Premier says in alignment with the declaration, government will incorporate key aspects of the speech into the program of action. He says Bayete to the King following the command to increase elderly grants. He says government will take up the challenge to urgently address the critical national priorities, including strengthening healthcare, enhancing education, creating jobs, empowering the youth, and intensifying the fight against corruption. He also says now that the lion has roared, it is now their turn to move forward with the resolute determination to fulfill this command. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Thobisile Dladla, has handed over 2 houses to destitute families in the Shiselweni region. The families are from Masaysini and Gamethula constituencies.
The beneficiaries of the house that has been handed over at Masaysini are 2 orphan children, while the second house at Gamethula is headed by an 85-year-old woman who lives with her 2 grandchildren.
Siqalekele Masaysini lapho kunemfana khona Mthobisi. Bekangaphila-phili kahle Mthobisi unatsatse wabo lebekase ePhongola wanele ngekuva Inyathi Foundation ukuthi sikulomkhankaso wasenaso ujikijele sivivaneni so uthatha lendlu yaseMasaysini besithi sakha i1 room ngaloku sibe sathi kunamthobisi wasuyavela lo dzatsi wabo so uyabuya esikolweni ePhongola sesithi asakhe 2 sinakhona sifike sashimbhethe lesi khicitelwa yona nguye Montigne njalo kubone kune imbhethe kune shelf lapho batawufaka khona impahla tabo lokho namhla sesila imethula lapha ngesikhathi inkosi itonda lomsebenzi lapha eChendlovu sithume ukuthi silungise eChendlovu ngoba naku itawuda ivule sifiso sethu bekuthi lendlu ivulwe ngesikhathi inkosi ikhona uhulumende wakhanza kwekuthi asibonge enkosini ngalomsebenzi omkhulu kangaka ukuthi si-identify gogo lo hlala kaMadima.
The beneficiaries of the houses have expressed their gratitude to government.
Kama ukutibongela kakhulu nkosami ngekagcine kakhulu nkosami kwanze lapho basithe khona labadzala namanje inkosini musibabusise babe nempumelelo enqula phambili.
The first house at Masaysini was built by Inyathi Foundation in collaboration with government, and it is worth 80,000 emalangeni, while the second house handed over at Gamethula was built by government, and it is worth 100,000 emalangeni. Thandokuhle Mdluli, Eswatini TV News, Gamethula.
The Honourable Minister of Sports, Bongani Nzima, says cultural exchange programs are key to the enhancement and preservation of Eswatini culture. The minister was speaking when bidding farewell to a group of cultural entertainers who will be participating in the upcoming Mela Festival in India.
During the speech from the throne on Friday, His Majesty King Mswati III commended government's efforts of promoting cultural heritage. Testament to that, the Honorable Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Bonga Nzima, on Monday, bid farewell to a cultural group who will be participating in the Mela Festival in India.
You carry with you the spirit of a Maswati, the heartbeat of our traditions, and the pride of our ancestors. His Majesty King Mswati III, at the official opening of the 12th Parliament, second sessions, emphasized the importance of preserving and promoting our cultural heritage. His Majesty said a nation that upholds its culture and tradition remains strong and united. Our heritage is our identity, and it must be passed down from generation to generation. With these words in mind, I urge you to take this as a mission, not just a performance. Your role is to make an impression so powerful that it becomes increasingly difficult for India not to invite a Maswati to this and other international festivals. Let your music, dance, and storytelling tell the world who we are. Remember, your behavior off the stage is just as important as your performance on it.
The participating Maswati said they are so honored to represent the Kingdom of Eswatini in such a fashion.
Kusho lokukhulu kakhulu kimi ukuthola lihambo lelinjena liyingcayizivele kimi.
Ngiyakholwa ukuthi noma le ngoma ngayihlabela ngeSiswati ngejangalo sengidabe ngiyihlabela ngalo moya waNkulunkulu ohlala ngaphakathi kwami batabe bamva uNkulunkulu sidabathini empilweni dabo.
They promised to raise the Kingdom of Eswatini's flag high through their performances, whereas they are expected to be back in the kingdom on February 26. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sam Kalsiwe Khoza with Bongan Masugu, Babane.
The Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority has announced an increase of over 14% electricity tariffs for the next 2 years. Skhumbuzo Dlamini from ISERA says 100 Malangeni will, as of April this year, be enough to get you 38 kilo-hour electricity units.
Following an application by the Eswatini Electricity Company addressed to the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority to increase electricity tariffs by 25.51% for the financial year 2025-2026, in a press meeting on Monday, ESERA CEO Sikhumbuzo Tshabethe said, having considered all the factors and concerns around the increase, ESERA has decided to approve a tariff hike of at least 14.67% for the financial year 2025-2026.
This revenue requirement translates to a recovery of an average tariff of 14.67% for the financial year 2025-26 and an average increase of 10.19% for the year 2026-27. This is estimated at a geometric average for the 2 years of about 12.79% over the 2 years. The domestic tariff increase by 14.12%. For the domestic tariff, this translates to an increase of 14.12%, whilst energy charges for corporate time of use customers and corporate non-time of use customers will only increase by 14% in each of the 2 financial years. The demand charge will increase by 14%, whilst time of use and non-time of use facility charges and access charges should increase by the approved inflation of 5.02% for the financial year 2025 and 4.68% for the financial year 26-27.
Tshabethe also unpacked what it means for a consumer when purchasing electricity worth 100 Malangeni.
Currently, if you are a domestic consumer of electricity, with 100 Malangeni, you purchase 43 units. With the decision that we have made in the first year, it means if you have 100 Malangeni, you will get 38 units. In the following year, if you have 100 emalangeni, it means you will have 33 units if you are a domestic consumer.
Esera further explained that the increase is due to quite a number of factors, which include the fact that EEC buys most of the country's electricity in neighboring countries, and when they increase their tariffs, the country is also affected by that, as Eskom has recently approved a 12.7% increase for the 2025-2026 financial year. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Siwekoza with Bongan Masugu, Babane.
Staying with that story, first of all, we would like to apologize. The CEO of Esera is Mr. Skhumbuzo Tsabete. We apologize for that misprint. And we move on with the news. The Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Senator Prince Longokela, says the announced electricity tariffs increase is too high. Hence, he is going to seek for the Cabinet's guidance on the issue. The Honorable Minister says the ministry is hopeful that the Cabinet will support the ministry in this matter.
Following the announcement of an over 14% increase in electricity tariffs in the next 2 years by the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority, the Honorable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy, Prince Longokela, in a cell phone interview expressed concerns over the 14% hike in electricity tariffs, calling it too high for the people of Eswatini. The Honorable Minister says the Eswatini Electricity Company applied in time for the increase of electricity tariffs and within the stipulated legislations, and the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority considered the concerns of Emaswati when considering this application. The Honorable Minister says despite that, the ministry feels the 14% increase is too high for Emaswati. The Honorable Minister further highlighted the financial strain that such an increase could place on households, the elderly, and the vulnerable Emaswati and businesses alike. When addressing the nation on Friday during the state opening of the second session of the 12th Parliament, His Majesty King Mswati III gave government a mandate to improve the welfare of every Liswati, and this increase goes against His Majesty's command. He says he will seek guidance from the Cabinet on Tuesday to explore possible alternatives and ensure that the impact on citizens is minimized. He says Emaswati will be given an update on this matter after the Cabinet meeting. In conclusion, the Honorable Minister said government is working on increasing local power generation to ease the burden of electricity prices from Emaswati. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Siwekoza, Babane.
President Donald Trump has announced an increase in tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico and China, and this has sent panic amongst local businesses, with Business Eswatini saying that they are worried that products exported under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which allows duty-free access of local products to the U.S., may also be next in line. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, the Honorable Mangoba Khumalo, says there's no reason for panic for now, but the minister has also offered advice to local businesses in relation to exporting.
A week ago, Business Eswatini said countries like China had already reduced production in anticipation of these changes in tariffs, which meant more countries could follow, and this can negatively impact local industries that export raw material. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Mangoba Khumalo, says the ministry is monitoring the situation in the United States, especially in relation to AGOA.
There's been no indication whatsoever at the moment that AGOA is at risk. In all the policy decisions and executive orders that the President of the United States has made and signed, AGOA has not been one of them. We do believe that AGOA actually is managed by an act of Congress, and the review is done by Congress, and the African countries in particular have a seat at the table when these negotiations are being done, and we participate in those. We do encourage our exporters in particular to always have a diverse, portfolio of markets that they look at so that they can spread their risk, because not just in AGOA, but in every sort of arrangement, if it is the only market that you have as an exporter, that risk may need to be managed.
Under AGOA, Eswatini enjoys duty-free access to the United States market for a range of products, particularly in the textile and apparel sector, which has been pivotal for job creation and economic growth. Eswatini can export about 6,000 product lines under the agreement. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbambane.
98 local businesses have already registered for the Consumer Fair, which will be hosted by a peculiar people on April 25th this year. The chairperson of the agency that promotes local products and services, Melusi Dlamini, shared this information during the official launch of the digital registration at KFC drive-thru in Mbabane.
We would like to encourage diversity and make sure we control even the quality and the health aspect of the products that will be sold in the day.
Winnie Dlamini from the Mbabane City Council urges businesses to take advantage of this opportunity.
On the day, you will be given an opportunity to sell and showcase your products at no cost. You just come, show up, do register, as it has been emphasized. Make sure you register so that you are shortlisted and you will have the opportunity of showcasing your products, and so that even the locals get to know what is in the market by eMaswati.
Chairperson of the Consumer Association, Bongani Mdluli, says promoting local products helps in creation of employment opportunities. He urges consumers to support local brands.
Nasi support asibathengi sisupporta liswati noma eMaswati siyathi lapho ukuthi bantu by extension bantu labasitakalako baningi kakhulu.
Mbabane East Member of Parliament Welcome Dlamini says they will always support policies that are meant to uplift local businesses.
As a Member of Parliament, I reaffirm our institution's unwavering commitment to supporting policies and initiatives that drive local business growth.
Chairperson of A Peculiar People, Melusi Dlamini, says there is no limitation in the number of businesses that can register. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
Right, with those business stories, we segue nicely into the world of business, where we take a look at financial indicators now to see how global markets performed today in the Up Next Financial Report.
Standard Bank.
Right, staying with those markets, we visit the International Sugar Organization, ISO, to see how the global sales of sugar performed in the Up Next Financial Indicators. We move on with the news. This is the news at 10 here at Eswatini Television. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We move on. The Industrial Court has dismissed an application by the Principal Secretary of the Ministry of Public Service, Sipho Tshabethe, who sought to stop the Civil Service Commission from announcing that today, the 3rd of February, will be his last day in office since he is due for retirement. The court ruling means that Tshabethe's tenure officially ends today, the 3rd of February 2025.
Industrial Court Judge Abande Dlamini concluded that the Ministry of Public Service Principal Secretary Sipho Tsabete's case is without merit and accordingly dismissed it with no order as to cost. The judge found that the Civil Service Commission offered Tsabete the options of retiring on the 3rd of February 2025 or approaching it to present exceptional circumstances to warrant the Commission to alter his retirement date, or that Tsabete's supervisor can recommend him for employment post his retirement date. On the last option, the assumption by the court is that this will be a recommendation to the appointing authority. The judge says applicant has not utilized any of these options available to him and states instead that it will be illogical for him to approach the commission. The judge also finds that the Civil Service Commission did avail options to Tsabete as a reprieve if he was not satisfied with the determination. This he will have utilized before approaching the court in the manner he did. As a matter of fact, the court says Tsabete still has an opportunity even today on what has been determined as his retirement date to present exceptional circumstances on why this is not a correct date. Alternatively, request for a recommendation from his supervisor for employment post the 3rd of February 2025 from the appointing authority. As it is, the court finds that the applicant was offered remedies should he not be satisfied with the determination of the CSC, which he unfortunately decided not to take advantage of. The court also ruled that in this case of Tsabete, perpetrated waiver under General Order 9, Subsection 2 was issued by the Undersecretary who is a subordinate of Tsabete and who is under his direct supervision. The judge further says this was apparently because Tsabete was conflicted. As such, the court finds that the Civil Service Commission correctly set the waiver aside. The judge also notes that there is also an unexplained delay by Tsabete to apply for the correction of his date of birth from the Ministry of Home Affairs. His own evidence is that he met his mother for the first time in 1998, and that is when he got to know of his correct date of birth. From the evidence before court, the judge says it would seem Tsabete waited for more than 20 years before approaching the Ministry of Home Affairs for the correction of his date of birth. The court also says not only that, it will also seem that he waited until he was in the Ministry of Public Service, where he is the Principal Secretary and the custodian of database of all government employees. Tsabete had provided for birth of date across his personal documents. While Tsabete claimed to have been born in 1967, the Civil Service Commission ruled that he was born in 1963. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, High Court.
Now, sports news, Park 11 secured the EPM T20 title for 2025 after defeating I Bakat. Park 11 won the match by 7 wickets.
The EPM T20 tournament, which is Eswatini-Bangladesh mutual cricket tournament, unlike last year during its inaugural year, when matches were played in 10-over formats, this year's game were played in 20-over formats. This year's final, which was held in Mankens Country Club, where AI Bakat faced Park 11. AI Bakat batted first in the match and scored over 175 runs in their 20-over innings. Park 11 then came into bat needing to chase a target of more than 175 runs. They successfully reached 176 runs, losing only 4 wickets in 19.2 overs, securing a victory by 6 wickets. Farouk Gorua was standout performer, scoring a century in less than 60 balls. Park 11 received 20,000 Malangeni in prize money for winning the tournament. Farouk Gorua also won the award for best batsman of the tournament, while Minaj was recognized as the best bowler. The EPM tournament is expected to return this coming September after the league matches. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini. Bye-bye.
Right, just like that, with the sports news, we hit the home stretch of the news at 10 here at Eswatini Television. Before we go, a quick reminder of your top stories tonight. The Prime Minister says government embraces the declaration of 2025 as a year of transformation by His Majesty King Mswati III. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Thulsi Dladla, has handed over 2 houses to destitute families in the Shiselweni region. And the Eswatini Energy Regulatory Authority has announced an increase of over 14% electricity tariff for the next 2 years. Right, and just like that, we've come to the conclusion of the news at 10 here at Eswatini Television. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. Up next, we cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the team here at Eswatini Television. We say good night and God bless.